City Council meeting. We have first on the agenda an invocation by Bishop Thomas Holsey, followed by the pledge to our nation's flag, led by Councilman Adam Perza.
Our Heavenly Father, we come before you this day. We ask that you send your anointing in the room. Touch each and every one that are here. Give them understanding, oh God. Help them and bless them and their families. Give us what to say and how to say, that we might be more gentle and kind to each other. We want to thank you for the wisdom you have given to our council and how they go about doing the business for the city. We ask your strength right now. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Council, you have before you this evening's agenda. I have been requested to defer item 2B, the presentation of the American Institute of Architecture Delaware 2014 Honor Award, until April 13th meeting. Are there any other additions or deletions to the agenda?
If not, I'll move for a motion to go ahead and approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Hare, seconded by Mrs. Williams. Approve the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have before us the consent agenda. Those items on council agenda that are considered routine and non-controversial are marked with an asterisk, and they'll be acted upon by a single roll call vote of council. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of council so requests, in which case the matter shall be removed from the consent agenda and considered as a separate item. Pleasure of council.
Move the acceptance of the consent agenda.
Have a second? Second moved by Mr. Slavin, second by Mr. Dixon. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Mr. Perza?
Yes.
Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Hare?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Bell?
Yes, motion carries unanimously. Item number 2A1, a presentation of a certificate of recognition for Judea Clark. Mayor Christensen. Mrs. Clark and Mr. Dixon, would you join them at the podium, please? Ms. Clark, if you could come down.
Judea, could you come up, please?
Or stand up in front so we can all see you. Madam Clerk, would you read the certificate into the record?
Whereas Ms. Judea Clark, a South Dover Elementary School second grade student, noticed that her fellow classmate was choking during lunch and acted quickly to dislodge a piece of celery. And whereas, due to the courage and quick thinking exhibited by Ms. Clark, the life of another individual was saved. And whereas Ms. Clark was recognized as a South Dover superhero, as her actions serve as an example of the importance of South Dover's 4B rules: be responsible, be respectful, be your best, and be safe. And whereas Ms. Clark's heroic efforts exemplify the model behavior encouraged at South Dover Elementary School and throughout the city of Dover. Now, therefore, the mayor and council of the city of Dover, Delaware, do hereby award this certificate of recognition to Judea Clark on this 23rd day of March, 2015.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Mayor?
Judea, we're very, very, very proud of you. I happen to know one of your teachers, Mrs. Huddy. You know Mrs. Huddy? She's my daughter, and she, oh, that was self-serving, I'm sorry. Judea, and she told me what a hero you were that day. So we decided to give you this important award, and we know that you're one of the 4B children that is at South Dover School. Are any of your family with you? Would you like to ask them to stand up? Would Judea's family stand up, please? Her grandmother, her sister. Let's give this little gal a great hand because she is the Incidentally, you all can sit down. Incidentally, in addition to being a superhero at South Dover Elementary School, she's Councilman Dixon's granddaughter, and Mrs. Dixon's granddaughter. So let's, what would be the best venue for a photo op? Just like that. Oh, okay. You want
If
to,
you all
Turn
want to
around.
come down, you can come down here and take a picture.
yes, anybody wants to do a quick photo op, if you want to step forward. Come on, Lily. Now, Judea burped this child. That's exactly how she explained it to Mrs. Huddy. So, let's get this. You want to hold that? And we are really, really proud of you for being one of our superheroes. Everybody say smile, because this is the money shot.
Maybe you're not in this picture.
Oh, you want me in this picture? Yes, sir. You have to use the
I'm sorry, I need to back up.
Let's see.
My apologies.
That's okay.
Enough room, Jeff?
Yes, I'm good. Okay, on one. 3, 2, 1.
Are we good?
Yeah, take your time.
All right. Congratulations, young lady. Let's give her a big hand.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You should have just taken both of them down.
Yes, I should have.
Item number 2AA2 on the agenda this evening, presentation of certificate of recognition for Dan Godwin. Mr. Godwin, would you join the mayor at the podium this evening?
Once again, it's always good for someone to be the right place at the right time. Firefighter Godwin was taking his lunchtime at the firehouse along with Dispatcher Shepard. Who is he here? Dispatcher Caro, could you step down here as well?
Mr. Mayor, while this is, while everybody's joining you at the podium, I think we should ask Madam Clerk to read this.
Your pleasure, sir.
Madam Clerk?
Whereas on December 29, 2014, an employee of the City of Dover began choking while eating dinner during his night shift at the Dover Fire Department. And whereas Mr. Daniel Godwin, a 17-year-old high school senior, probationary member of the Dover Fire Department and student in the EMT program at the Delaware State Fire School, observed the incident and quickly responded by performing the Heimlich maneuver until a piece of steak was dislodged. And whereas, due to the courage and quick thinking exhibited by Mr. Godwin, the life of another individual was saved. And whereas Mr. Godwin's heroic efforts exemplify the model behavior and courage throughout the city of Dover. Now therefore, the mayor and council of the city of Dover, Delaware, do hereby award this certificate of recognition to Daniel Godwin on this 23rd day of March, 2015.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President. Firefighter Godwin, on behalf of the mayor and council and all of the citizens of the city of Dover who rely on not only you, Dispatcher Caro, Chief Hall, but all the members of Robbins Hose that are here and who are not here, I present you this certificate of recognition for your quick action. And did you burp, Dispatcher Caro? We're very proud of you, and Judea, you and Firefighter Godwin are both heroes. So let's give him a big hand. Am I getting shorter or what's going on here?
Stand up.
I'm standing up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm
That's
sorry.
nice, Hutch. Nice.
On 1. 3, 2.
Thank you, sir. Item number 2C on the agenda this evening is a presentation by the Dover Public Library First State Logo League. I would invite Jackie Smigala and Carrie Holly Day, library assistants, to the podium for the presentation this evening.
Carrie Holliday, and this is Jacqueline Smigala, and we're library assistants at the Dover Public Library, as well as the library's first LEGO League coaches for the past 2 years. I'd like to introduce our team here tonight: Allison, Camille, Jaden, Taylor, Amanda Lynn, and Logan. Our other team members, Dylan, Tara, and Summer, were unable to be here tonight. We'd also like to take a moment and introduce our robotics mentor, Keith Power. Trying to get to the next slide here, sorry. Okay. What is First LEGO League? First LEGO League, or FLL, is an international LEGO robotics competition for children between the ages of 9 to 14. The purpose of this is to get kids excited about STEM. Teams use critical thinking skills to find solutions to problems in both the local and global community. There are 3 main components of FLL. Every year, FLL has a different challenge or theme. Each challenge deals with a real-world issue. With the project, the team completes an innovative solution to the problem addressed in the challenge. They research the problem, figure out how their solution can be achieved, and are encouraged to share their work through outreach. The team also creates a presentation that they deliver to the judges at the competition. The robot competition. The kids must construct a robot and program it to complete specific tasks, known as missions. The robot must be programmed to do things like push, pull, lift, and even throw. Each mission is worth a certain amount of points. Core values. Throughout the season, the team is expected to follow FLL's core values. For instance, they are encouraged to share their FLL experience with others. How did the library get involved? In 2013, the library applied for and was awarded the grant from the First State First LEGO League, Delaware's chapter of FLL. This grant covered the cost of supplies such as the robot and the team registration fee. We then advertised our LEGO team to the public, and children signed up. Teams can have between 3 to 10 members. In our first year, we had 7 members. This year, we had 9. We also reached out to Keith Power, who has done library programs for us, and he volunteered to be our team robotics mentor. Our meetings began in late August and ran until January, when our first team had a great performance at the Delaware State University qualifier. Our first team named themselves the Tornado Troopers. The team was natural disasters, and the team's project was centered on creating an emergency alert app and device that would alert emergency officials when someone was trapped in tornado wreckage.
The 2014-2015 theme was World Class, and it focused on learning. Our team named themselves the Continent Crafters, and you'll soon see why. The World Class Challenge was to figure out how we could improve the way someone learned about the topic of our choice. Our team decided to create a way to teach kids about continents using the educational software Minecraft EDU, which is available in the library. The kids created iconic landmarks and information blocks for each continent within the Minecraft world. Kids who want to learn about the continents would visit our server and learn facts about each continent. The team also wrote and presented a skit in which Allison traveled their Minecraft world and learned a variety of interesting facts. The Continent Crafters competed at the qualifiers tournament at Delaware State University on January 17th. They did a wonderful job and advanced to the First State First LEGO League Championships. This short video of part of a robot match gives you a small taste of what competition day is like. The mission you see is called Sports. Taylor had to program the robot to throw a ball into a goalpost. At the first State First LEGO League Championships on February 14th, the Continent Crafters competed alongside 35 of the best teams from Delaware and surrounding states. They did a wonderful job. The team won 2 awards at the qualifier event. They won the Robot Performance Award for having the top score in the robot game. They also won the Presentation Award for the skit they performed when presenting their project to the judges. The team put in a lot of hard work this season, and it paid off. We are very proud of them and are very fortunate to get to work with such a great and promising group of kids. First LEGO League is just one of the ever-growing STEM opportunities that the library is excited to offer our community. Our team members will now hand out booklets that they gave to the judges, which show the work that they have done this season. So thank you very much for your time, and please let us know if you have any questions.
Thank you to the team for being such a good example of what youngsters can get out of the library system. And we're very proud of what we've provided for the residents of the city of Dover within our library here. Any other members of council wish to have any comments? Marge, thank you for your oversight of this.
Thank you, guys.
Seeing no further questions, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Item number 2D on the agenda this evening is a presentation of the 2014 annual report of the Dover Police Department. Mayor Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, members of the City Council, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure for me to present to you the 2014 annual report of the Dover Police Department, which I consider the finest police department in the state of Delaware, and also in the commemoration of their 90th anniversary, having been founded in 1925. So this is a celebratory year in the history of the Dover Police Department. To present the report to you in great detail, I'd like to present my chief, Chief Paul Burnett.
Chief Burnett.
Good evening. It's with great pleasure that I stand before you to give this report card on the police department for what we've accomplished in the year of 2014. We've had several challenges this year. We've had sporadic shootings. We've had 4 bank robberies, a serial burglar, and just recently we were nationally accredited. Our accreditation was for the 6th time, and I just got back from Reno this morning at 2 o'clock, so I'm very proud that we were able to do that accomplishment. As you can see, I'm not used to working this thing. Here we go. In 2014, we had 35,549 complaints. That's actually 229 complaints down compared to last year. However, in 2014, we ceased providing the service of lock jocks. Lock jocks are when people lock their keys in a car. We did that to free up the officers' time for more meaningful things due to manpower issues at the time. We did do lock jocks for children that were trapped in a car or if there was an animal in the car. I would like to restart these in the future when we receive the extra officers that we were so graciously given. I can't say enough about the men and women of the Dover Police Department to include the civilians. I want to make sure that I say that during this 2014 report. As far as Group A crimes go, as you could see, Group A crimes are down 10%. I'm very proud of that fact. Group A crimes include homicide, sexual offenses, robbery, assault, arson, burglary, theft, fraud, and drug offenses. I'd also like to note that it's a 4-year low, so that's a great trend for our city. And I'd like to mention that we've done certain things, such as our shoplifting social media platform, where we've posted shoplifters' faces on Facebook. We found that in the same 4-month period last year compared to the year previously, shopliftings have gone down 19%. With that 19%, for the year, it went down 12%. So that's one program that worked very well for us. The next is the violent crime. I just got to get the right one up there. All right. Violent crime, again, is down 18% for 2014. That's an incredible figure. It is also a 4-year low. However, I don't want to get confused with everybody within the city. The downtown area did not have the luxury of having an 18% decrease. Homicide in the downtown area was up 200%. Burglary in the downtown area is up 93%. Assault in the downtown area is up 33%. Drugs in the downtown area are up 30%. Fraud is up 144% in the downtown area, and theft is up 60%. It is nice that robberies have decreased 32% in the downtown area, so that should be noted. As far as actual robberies go, we had 13 additional robberies compared to last year. 4 of those robberies were bank robberies, and I'm proud to say that all 4 bank robberies were cleared. The city of Dover is not a place to rob a bank unless you want to get caught. And again, the downtown area had a 32% reduction, so that's a good thing. Our robbery clearance rates. Our robbery clearance rates are 72% clearance rate. Compared to 2013 national rate, which was 33.4%, we're better than twice the national average for a city our size. That speaks volumes for the men and women of our police department, whether they're on patrol or the detectives that are help solving these crimes. The patrol officers are catching them in the act, and if they're not catching them, the detectives are taking the information and they're solving them through deduction or their investigative skills. As far as burglaries go, our burglaries are at a 5-year low. You can see we had 80 last year. That's 18 less burglaries. And I'd like to note that it would even be less than that if it wasn't for a term that we called the rat burglar. The rat burglar was called the rat burglar because what he would do is basically break through the walls. He wouldn't go in through the door or windows. He would break through the wall. Usually he could fit into a 13 by 13 area and go in. He's cut in through the roofs of businesses. Our detectives worked hard on that. He did, like I said, 16 within the last few months of the year. If we had caught him during 2014, our clearance rates would have been 79%. But our detectives, they took it upon themselves to go look on the website in the McLaughlin website area, which is basically a website of all the crimes that are happening in the United States. You go to your area, which was the Northeast. They noticed that in the Prince George County area, they were having similar burglaries where the guy was coming in down through the roof, or he was breaking in through the wall and continuing through the other walls in the building doing his burglaries. We had a multi-jurisdictional meeting, including the state police, both of Troop 3 and up north, Troop 2, along with PG County and other surrounding areas such as Milford and Smyrna. To make a long story short, our detectives formulated a whole pamphlet, passed it out to everybody. The PG County officer brought it back, and within 1 week, she disseminated it to her officers in her area, and we developed a lead. I'm happy to say that after another month-long investigation where GPS was involved, GPS tracker, the rat burglar was captured. We offered it. We tried to get the FBI and ATF involved at the time. They weren't interested, and now they're very interested. So the rat burglar is responsible for like over 100 burglaries in this whole area. And some of them included gun stores where he stole guns. So I'm very proud of that fact. As you can see also, the burglary clearance rate, even though we didn't get the 79% that we probably would have had, we did receive 55%, which is very much notable. It is 3 times the national average, which is 14.3% for 2013 anyway. Drug offenses, they're down a little bit less than 100, but they're still higher than 2010, 11, and 12. There could be several different factors of that, whether it be manpower or different situations that are going on at the time. As far as drug arrests by the Drug, Vice, and Organized Crime section, they are up. They're up by 63 arrests. They're at a third-year high. The DVOC has seized 5,750 grams of marijuana in 2014, 777 grams of cocaine, 175 grams of heroin, and has seized over just under $175,000 in cash. Also in 2014, We implemented the prescription drug drop-off box. It is in the front lobby of the police department where it's accessed 24/7. If anybody has any prescription medicine that they want to get rid of, that's the way to get rid of it. You can put it in there 24 hours a day. And just within the first 2 months, we received 104 pounds worth of prescription drugs that could have been in the hands of a child or an illicit user. Our motor vehicle crashes, oh, I'm sorry, my eyes are getting bad. Our property crime is also down, a 4-year low. So that's speaking volume, except for, again, the downtown area did not have that luxury, and we are definitely concentrating on that in 2015. As far as crashes go, overall they're down 4%, but that is somewhat misleading because in 2014, in a way to try to get more officers free and on the road, we changed our policy to match the policy of the Delaware State Police and the surrounding jurisdictions, which was basically we did not do private property accidents unless they were over $1,500. So that's somewhat misleading. I just wanted to clarify that. As you can see on the next page, we had 1,505 property damage crashes compared to 1,149. But if you look, the private property damage was 69 compared to the 505 in 2013. So we actually had more traffic arrests. That page is basically the same as the other one. Our traffic arrests are down 8%. I think a big part of this was during the summer months where we took 3 officers off the motorcycle unit and created the street crimes unit, the much needed street crimes unit. So I think that played a lot on our traffic arrests. Our parking tickets were down. No, our parking tickets were up, but our collections were down. And a big part of that was the new parking system that we have now. We switched over, and some of the software was not compatible with the other software. Happy to say that I know that's hard to read. Basically what it is it shows that our grants that we received in 2014 were to the tune of $369,990. We used our grant money several different ways. Some of it was for extra foot patrols in violent crime areas. And different facets. We received $32,000, $32,971 from the Office of Highway Safety. We received $20,173 from Kent County Levy Court. The Attorney General's Office through CJIS, $16,640. Through SLEEF Fund, $12,000, just to mention some of them. And also from federal forfeiture, $86,758. In closing, our officer of the quarter was Ryan Schmid, who was excellent in several drug arrests and criminal gun seizures. And also Matt Hawkins was the civilian of the year. Matt's one of our dispatchers. He's very professional and keeping calm and getting out the pertinent information. This is just a small portion of the annual report. There's actually a lot more information, but this is just the highlights that I wanted to share with you. So if you have any questions, I can answer them, or it's up to you.
Mr. Hutchison and Mrs. Williams.
Chief, would you please just comment briefly regarding the national accreditation process?
Yes, the national accreditation process, it's a 3-year process, or every 3 years you get reaccredited. During that time period, you have 465 standards that you have to achieve. The standards are your policies and procedures, and what you do is you have to actually prove that you do what you say you do. There are only, I think, 4 or 5 accredited agencies in the state of Delaware. They're probably the top 5. There's also state accreditation as well. Like I said, I went to Reno. I went in front of the board and spoke for 15 minutes on behalf of what good things are going on in the city of Dover and how blessed we are to have such a supportive council and good citizens to work for.
But just to follow up, if I may, certainly the accreditation speaks well of the men and women of the department, your staff, your management team, and certainly in looking at your annual report, I cannot begin to thank you and the internal team for a job well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. President. Chief, can you talk a little bit about juvenile crime?
I knew you were going to ask that. You asked that last year. But I did not get a chance to do get a slide made. But yes, juvenile crime is very close to what it was last year. If you look at your annual report, it is on page, I should have had that out. I apologize. I can get that to you, but I did look at that for you, and there was no area that really jumped out. It was very close to the same, pretty much the same.
Is that in regard to gangs also?
I did not look at that, but it did look like assaults were up a little bit, but nothing that would jump out too bad.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Any further comments or questions by members of council? Mr. Hutchins?
If I could, I'm sorry, can you give us an update on the cadet program and also on the new officers?
Yes, the new officers were hired, or started the police academy March 9th. We have 5 officers that are in there, or recruits. 5, yes. They are in there now, and they're performing well. As far as the cadets go, we're interviewing 12 of them. I start Wednesday with the interviews process. They've already gone through the physical agility test, and they've already been through the first oral board test. So we will be deciding them probably by the end of the week.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Just as a follow-up to that question, Chief, what kind of interest did you get in the cadet program in terms of numbers of applicants?
We had 25 applicants, or no, I take that back. We had 36 applicants, 25 passed everything. We dwindled it down to 15, I believe, and then after the initial background, we're down to 12. So that's what we're looking
Thank
at.
you, sir. On behalf of council and the rest of the city, hearty congratulations on the certification. That's very important. And I think the citizens of Dover know that this is the best police department that anybody could ask for, particularly for a town of our size. If we had more police departments that were in capable hands like our department, it seems to be, we'd certainly be a lot better off.
Thank you. This city is very blessed to have the talented police officers and dedicated police officers that we do have, both the men and women and also the civilians. We couldn't do what we do without them as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Need a motion to accept the report? So moved. Moved by Mrs. Williams, second by Mr. Hare. Any questions on the motion? In favor of accepting the report signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously. Item number 7, the evaluation of bids for the Westover Pump Station and force main replacement. Mr. Koenig.
Thank you, Council President. In the packet tonight is a 3-page action form out of the Department of Public Works regarding the replacement of the Westover Pump Station and force main. This force main and pump station serves the village of Westover, Cannon Mills, the new Dover High School project, as well as the apartment complex that's under construction adjacent to the high school. Therefore, it's a growing basin. The pump station itself has been in place since 1994, serving this area. And the required upgrades include the replacement of the pump package, the suction lines, as well as all the discharge force main. This project was advertised for bid under advertisement ITB number 15-0024PW. There were 4 contractors that submitted bids as detailed on the summary, with George and Lentz being the low bid at $1,292,295. This project was originally estimated at $703,800. There were some changes in the scope of work that brought the engineering estimate up to $811,000. However, during the bid process, it was noted that there were 3 areas where the engineering estimate was significantly under the bid price. Those areas include pipe installation, the force main casing, and also the package pumping station. Staff is recommending going forward with the project. However, to do that, we have to modify the capital plan and move approximately $581,600 into this project from the Hazelville Road Interceptor Sewer. As far as priorities, the pump station replacement and force main is a much higher priority, especially since this basin is serving the high school and additional housing units in the basin to be served. So we are proposing to modify the capital plan to move that money as a condition of this bid acceptance. And also, we will be rebudgeting and trying to bring forth an alternate for the Hazelville Road Interceptor in the coming months. Based on those comments, staff is recommending the award of the contract to George and Lynch in the amount of $1,292,295 for the project. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Koenig. Any questions from members of council? Mr. Slavin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Koenig, can you just comment again, maybe a little bit more fully on what the original estimate was and what the final cost came in at, and how you see that discrepancy occurring?
In the original budget, the project was budgeted at $718,000. There was one change in the scope of the project to add a permanent generator, which would have increased the engineering estimate to $811,000. Because we believe the bidding conditions have changed in the economic environment, the bids came in much higher than anticipated based on our consultant's review. However, this is a high priority project considering the area that it's serving, the age of the station. As far as the economic impact for it, the cost to run the station will not change very much. The labor to run the station or to maintain the station will not change. But if we fail to do this project and the station fails, then we would be in emergency bypass pumping, paying premium dollars for that type of service. This proposed upgrade would add the emergency generator, so if we lost power or we had to bypass, we would have power on the site. We believe in the capital plan that the Hazelville Road Interceptor, which we had also received bids on, slightly higher than budgeted. The pump station replacement project takes precedence. We would like to move $581,000 from the Interceptor project as identified on page 2, $581,600, to cover the full contracted price for the Westover pump station upgrade, get that project completed, and then we would come back either in the final budgets for this year with project savings or proposing for additional funding or modifications to the capital plan for FY16 to get the Hazelville Road Interceptor project constructed, because we believe that is an important project, but in the priorities, it's less important than Westover.
Thank you. I agree that, the project is important. I take your word for it from an engineer's point of view. But my question, and you've answered it, was really focused in on our estimating, which is a theme that we've heard before. And I would just submit that an estimate that comes in half again less than what we were talking about. The original estimate we thought would be around $800,000, and we're coming in at close to $1.3 million. I think it has something to do with our estimating skills.
Yep, and this
I don't
is-
think that's market driven. I don't think that's the economy coming back to the tune of 59% above where the estimate was. And that's just my layman's point of view. I'll give you that. I agree that the project has to go forward. What I'm concerned about is the project goes forward, we deauthorize another funding for another project, and we reauthorize it in another out-year budget, and we continue to kind of build that deferred maintenance as we deauthorize projects. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Slade. Mr. Persa.
Is there any chance that the Hazlettville Road project will also have the same cost differential? Because they're both $700,000 projects. Is there a possibility that comes in at 1.2 as well, if the same cost estimating procedures were used for both projects?
We just received bids on that project, and those bids were, I want to say it was about $70,000 over the estimate. So the estimate was much closer, but it was still over. We have 90 days.
$400,000 over?
No, it was about $70,000, about 10% over.
Okay.
We have 90 days to act on those bids, so we probably have another 70 days left. So those bids are going to stay open for now.
Okay.
And if there's a way for us to bring back project savings to where we can fund this, we will be proposing to move forward with that, even if it means holding those bids until after July 1st, if the low bidder will do that.
Do you smell any possibility that the economy could push the actual bid returns above the market rates to the extent that it makes sense to do this, the Hazelville project in the next 6 months when it's 800,000 rather than waiting a year and it coming back at 1.1? Do you get a sense that the economy is going that direction?
I would say yes. I have to look at the actual kind of spread between the bids, but if you look at the bids we received for the pump station project, we have 3 bids that were very close to each other in price. So generally, what that means to us in the businesses is that that's the market. That's a relatively good market price. In the difference in the projects, the Hazelville Interceptor project is all pipe. There are no mechanical parts to it and pumps or generators. So there's a little bit easier to estimate the actual labor associated with that.
Okay.
But all these projects are important in the capital plan, so we've got to come up with a way to get better estimates. I think if you looked at the number of estimates that we brought forward this year, some of them have been right on, some of them have been a little bit off, and we have at least 2 whoppers that have been significantly off.
So the Hazelville and the pump project we're talking about now are not exactly apples to apples in terms of the scope of the projects, but
I would say no.
To the second extent then is it's probably in our best interest to move ahead with both projects at some point in the near future to prevent cost overruns as a result of the economy changing.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Persian. Mr. Hare.
I might have asked this before. Who does the estimating?
In this case, a lot of the estimating for the Public Works capital plan on the wastewater side was done by one of our consulting engineers last year with our staff checking the work. So it's a dual responsibility, both internal and external, because we're trying to get good numbers for the capital plan. But it is an estimating.
Have we ever thought of possibly looking at someone else to give us an estimate, or having the people that check the estimate, maybe they're not quite where they need to be?
Yeah, I mean, that's a debate that happens every year, and the question becomes, we can send out and we can get $100,000 worth of estimating done, and that doesn't guarantee that when we actually get the bids in, they're right on the money.
Well, I don't think right on the money is so important, but when we miss it like we've been missing on some of these, it makes me wonder if people knew what they were doing, or were they over their head when they estimated that particular project?
I think that's a fair question, and my answer to that is that generally most of them have been close, but when they've missed very high, which is difficult for us to manage in the capital plan. So we'll go back to the consulting engineers and we'll show them what has happened this year, and then we'll decide whether we're going to use that same person for next year.
Thank you. Mr. Anderson, do you have a question?
Thank you, Mr. President. If you're pleased to direct this to Mr. Koenig. So these estimates are only within a year? They're only about a year old? The original, or has this been an engine? Was this something that was basically on the shelf a while and then revived?
These estimates were in place prior to the capital plan being submitted for the FY15 budget. So the estimates probably go back about 14 months ago. 12 to 14 months ago.
Thank you.
Any further questions, Mr. Koenig? Pleasure, counsel.
Move to accept staff recommendation.
Second.
By Mr. Hare, second by Mr. Anderson, to accept the staff recommendation, the amount of $1.292 million plus. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Mr. Berza?
Yes.
Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Hare?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Bonar?
Yes, motion carries unanimously. Item number 8 on the agenda this evening is amending or rescinding the action taken on March 9, 2015 regarding the city reorganization. I would advise council that I requested that the motion of March 9, 2015 regarding city reorganization be placed on the March 23rd City Council agenda for amendment or rescission. The proposed amendment that I have suggested would read as follows: to maintain a full-time mayor and that all departments excluding the city clerk's office and the finance department will report to the city manager, who is appointed by and report to the city council. If you'll note in your packet, it strikes the word who will be the chief executive of the city and will report to the mayor after the city manager's responsibility. I would entertain a motion to make that amendment if there is a second.
Second.
I would need a motion and a second from the floor.
I would move to make that motion.
Motion by Mrs. Williams, second by Mr. Hutchison, to accept the amendment of the March 9th description. Any questions on the motion? Mr. Slavin.
I have not questions, but some comments. Our actions 2 weeks ago caused a lot of confusion on the part of voters, and now we're 2 weeks closer to an election. By my account, we're 28 days tomorrow outside the election, 4 weeks. And we've caused confusion, we've caused, to a certain degree, just going to be as candid as I can, we've caused a certain degree of embarrassment to the city by our actions. We didn't get it right the first time. Now we want to undo it. We want to change course 180 degrees, and we want to say that that's what we really meant when we discussed it at length the last time and voted on it last time. Everyone says we want to run government like a business. I would submit, unfortunately, if we were a business, we would all be fired, and for cause. We know that in early May, we have at least 2 new council members coming in. We know that we have our annual reorganization meeting. And I think, in my opinion, the right thing to do is simply admit that we botched it here, hit the pause button, let the elections provide safe harbor around that election, do not cause any further confusion for voters, and let the new incoming council determine what they want to do, if they want to do anything with this. So I would ask that the item be tabled at this time. I so move that the item be tabled.
There's a motion on the floor to table. Is there a second?
Would you be willing to hold that to see if there's any other discussion? And then I'd be glad to second it.
Sure.
The motion on the table needs a second before we can have discussion.
I'll withdraw the motion.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion and a second on the floor for the amendment of the wording. Are there any questions on the motion? Mr. Anders.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's good to have a discussion. It's good to not be afraid to keep discussing an issue if people have concerns. I have personally not heard anything to make me change my mind, so I do not intend to particularly change my vote at this time. However, if we do defer the issue, I think, till after the election and have a full council discussing it before we make any changes, I have no particular issue with that approach. I do have an issue with doing something that's completely different than we just voted on the previous 2 weeks when there's been no public outcry that I've heard. In fact, I've heard more support than anything else. So where I'm hearing, I'm just not seeing any reason to change. I am open to waiting to see when we have a full council. There are some members of council running on one side or the other, and it will be interesting to see how some elections turn out. That I don't think we do any violence to defer this till after the election.
Any other comments by members of council? Mr. Hutchison.
Just a comment. I think it's important for council to keep in mind, at one time, the mayor presided over council. At one time, the mayor had a vote in the event that there was a tie. At one time, the mayor made all council appointments. The mayor served as the chief executive person. We no longer have a mayor who presides over council. A mayor does not have a vote anymore. He has a veto, but no vote. The most powerful elected person in government today in the city of Dover structure is the council president. So to continue to have the mayor being the chief exec with no power doesn't make good sense. And I would urge all of you to look at the structure as it is today. We are a council, city manager form of government. The mayor is totally off by itself. Now, quite frankly, if I had my way and could wave a magic wand, I'd like to be a mayor, council, city manager form of government. But unfortunately, we're not. I had the privilege and honor of serving this city as mayor. And I think the mayor should be setting up there. And I think the mayor should have a vote. But until that happens, then I think it's important that the council looks at the structure we are today. And the structure today is clearly we are a council, city manager form of government.
The reason I brought this up, and if there are no other questions, the reason I brought this up is in reading how the motion was presented at the last meeting, and in reading and in talking to a few people. What we did in this body the last time was remove any authority that this body has over the city manager or anyone else for that matter, with a few limited exceptions. And you placed it in the hands of one individual, which is the mayor of the city of Dover, and in essence, took the power of council away of what needs to be done to operate this city. And that's my viewpoint. I wish I had been able to be here to express that concern. And I think that amending the wording takes care of that. Now, if the council after, I don't think the elections, quite frankly, and I will disagree with Mr. Slavin on this. Quite frankly, I don't think that we need to wait till after the elections to determine whether we want to move forward. This body is the one that makes decisions on how this city operates. The people sitting right here tonight. And that's, all 8 or 9 of us that are here. What a succeeding council may decide to do is irrelevant. I don't care what they do, because we've had succeeding councils that have kicked things down the can, kicked things down the kicked the can down the road time and time and time again. And I side with Mr. Hare, the comments he made a few weeks ago. It's time to get this issue resolved. And I think what you did inadvertently, and there are a lot of instances where you have unintended consequences in legislation that you may pass on this floor. And I think this is a prime example of what has happened. You gave away the power of city council to one individual. Now, the mayor still has the veto. The mayor still has the responsibility for oversight of the economic development arm of this city. The fact of the matter is the city manager is the person to whom the department heads should be answering. That's my view on it. That's why I asked for it to be brought back up. Any other comments or questions? Mr. Hare.
After the meeting last 2 weeks ago, it did end up being technically really what I don't know how it got to be what it was. I didn't mean it to be that way. I meant it to be what was presented tonight. And we can talk about it, we can do whatever. I think we need, and I've said this before, we need to know what form of government we want. If we're going to be a council manager form of government, then let's do it. If we're going to be a strong mayor form of government, let's do it. Let's decide what we want. I don't care. I'm tired of it, to be perfectly honest. I don't care what form of government we decide. I don't care if we make the dog catcher in charge of whatever. I don't care. I just want us to decide something, right, wrong, or indifferent. And you might think this is really dumb, but I'm not saying another word about the subject. That's it. I'm done.
Thank you, Mr. Hare. Mr. Slavin.
I'll just renew my motion. I move that we table the issue.
Second.
Motion on the floor to table. There's a second. Any questions on the motion? This is on the motion to table. If it passed, the discussion is tabled for the time being. It would take a motion by someone to raise it from the table and begin the discussion again. Any other questions on the motion? Mr. Persa, you look like you're getting ready to say something.
So if we do this tabling thing, there's no more discussion on it,
Not until someone raises it from the table.
which can be when? 2 minutes from now?
I don't think so. It'll be 10 minutes from now.
Okay. Okay.
5 years.
Mrs. Williams.
Point of order. Madam Clerk, can you explain about the lag time on the tabling motion? I thought that it couldn't be brought back without until a period of time had elapsed.
According to Robert's rules, to table is to set aside for a brief period of time during this meeting to address something else that has come up. So I think really the motion you want is to defer to a certain time, or to just defer indefinitely.
Motion to table can be at any time until we decide to lift it from the table, so.
That's correct. The motion to table is in effect to kill discussion. All right, we're clear? See no further questions, Madam Clerk, call the roll on the motion to table.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
No.
Mr. Slavin?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
No.
Mr. Hare?
No.
Mr. Hutchison? Mr. Bonar?
No. Fails. Motion to table fails 5-3. Question on that, we have Mr. Persa.
Can I talk now?
Yes, you may.
Okay.
We're still
My
under,
interpretation of where we are at this point is the council as a group did whatever we did at the last meeting. I don't like that at all. You know, where we're at is we're at this option versus what we did. If we take no action tonight, we're leaving what we did last time in place. That I don't want to have happen. I agree Mr. Slavin is correct that the elections are going to impact what happens moving forward. Doing this tonight isn't going to instantly change anything in the world that goes on, because I think we're still gathering input, talking to people in our community. Mr. Anderson saying people in his end of town are saying good. That's very well, and that's going to have input over what's going on. Same thing with Mr. Dixon, Mr. Slavin, all the way around the table. But I don't like what we did last time. So I think I'd rather not table it, leaving what we had default version being the old version. So that's where I'm at now. I have a philosophical way about going about doing these type of conversations, but I don't like what we did last time. So I would prefer we at least vote on this tonight, and then you know, the election's going to do what the election does.
Any other comments by members of council?
I agree.
Seeing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll on the motion to amend.
Mr. Anderson?
No.
Mr. Dixon?
No.
Mr. Persa?
Yes.
Mr. Slavin?
No.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Hare?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Bonar?
Yes, motion carries 5-3. Brings us to item number 9 on the agenda tonight, council members' announcements. Any council member have an announcement? Mr. Slavin, thank you.
I do have an announcement the clerk's office has asked me to make. The City of Dover municipal elections will be held on Tuesday, April 21st, 2015, between the hours of 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. The polling place for all voting districts is the Elks Lodge, number 1903 at 200 Salisbury Road, Dover, Delaware 19904. For more information about the candidates, absentee voting, and the election, please visit www.cityofdover.com and click on the Election 2015 button. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Slavin. Mr. Hare.
Just to remind everybody, if you're not planning on coming, you might want to go to Dover High School this Friday, Saturday, or Sunday afternoon. And they're doing a performance of Footloose. Everybody seen Footloose. And the one second act there where the council votes no dancing. City Council has been invited to play that part, along with former council people and current Representative Lynn. And if anyone has trouble with their lines, I will teach you no. So it looks like it's going to be a pretty good performance. So if you forget your line, you could be in trouble.
Should be easy.
Thank you, Mr. Hare. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. I think I'd rather stay in the audience on that one. That seems like a dangerous vote. I don't mind voting on mayor's issues and budgets, but voting against dancing seems very scary to me. Not good in my district. One important announcement is March 30th. In these chambers, at 6 p.m., I would like to invite anyone interested in the Youth Advisory Committee for an informational session. If you want more information, if you want to be involved, if you want to volunteer and help the young people, or if you are a young person who's born and watching city council meetings, we really want you. So please come out. You can also go on the web and get your application in advance. You don't have to be here for that, but we'd love to get your input and to get your concerns and to hear what you want to do, as well as present the vision for the Youth Advisory Council. And also, I think Councilman Dixon, a 4th District candidates forums tomorrow? So,
yes.
Yield to Councilman Dixon.
Yes, at Union Baptist Church at 6 o'clock tomorrow evening, there's a council for a meeting and meet the community for tomorrow evening, 6 o'clock. You'll truly be there to say what I need to say, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. Any other comments by members of council? As a save-the-date reminder, April 15th at 7:30 at the Modern Maturity Center here in Dover, there will be a candidates forum sponsored by the League of Women Voters. I would encourage anyone who lives and votes in the city of Dover, or even doesn't vote in the city of Dover, as long as you live here, to attend the candidates forum at the Modern Maturity Center. It's your opportunity to directly ask candidates questions. Thank you very much. Yes.
Would you read the amended motion that council just voted in favor of?
Yes, I would be happy to. The amendment is to maintain a full-time mayor, and that all departments, excluding the city clerk's office and finance department, will report to the city manager, who is appointed by and will report to city council. That is the amended wording. It was approved by council tonight. It still maintains a strong mayor.
Full-time.
Full-time.
Full-time, I'm sorry, full-time mayor. Sorry, full-time mayor.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
All right, seeing no further comments or questions, we're adjourned.